Yes, you are listening to the Ready, Set, Retire radio podcast with Steve Anzuoni. My name is Jessica Forkel. Get more details on the website at fairwayfinancial.net.
So apparently it's estimated that over the next 20 years, $90 trillion will be passed down from older generations. Bill Perkins, who wrote the book Die with Zero, says what is being transferred isn't just money. It's literally trillions in unlived experiences. He says that the fear of running out of money has people hoarding wealth at the expense of living their best life. And I can 100% see that with this high inflation, this market uncertainty. I think a lot of people are sitting on money right now, not making moves. He also sums it up by saying, you don't want to be the richest person in the graveyard. Steve, what are your thoughts on this?
Wow. That's an interesting take. I think it's sad that, and he's probably accurate too, the fear of running out of money has people hoarding wealth at the expense of living their best lives. That's a sad statement right there. Mm-hmm. My whole career has been to not have that happen to my clients. That's the number one thing is I want people to live their lives. I want people to travel. I want people to go wherever they want to go and enjoy life. The way you do that is not by hoarding wealth. It's by creating income. And this is what the wealthy people do. Let me just share something with you, okay? And I know a few very wealthy people, and they share stuff with me, which is great. Here's the bottom line. Their number one goal is to create income. It's not about the bucket of money. It's about the cash flow. So these people will invest in businesses. They'll invest in anything that will produce a check, whether it's rental properties or stuff like that, or income annuities to create cash flow and income. Then when it comes to the wealth transfer, they're not going to punish themselves by hoarding all that money. What they're going to do is they're going to figure out a way to transfer it efficiently and for pennies on the dollar. In other words, discounted money. So most of these people use life insurance as a tool to transfer wealth to the next generation. Why? No state taxes, no federal taxes, no death taxes, no taxes. So you could do it efficiently. And for many people, the means are right before your eyes. So let's say you have $500,000 in a 401k, and you have Social Security, and you've got no mortgage now. You're ready to go. You're excited. But you're still concerned about running out of money because, $500,000 is a nice number, but let's face it, it's not huge. So what you would do in that scenario is how can I create more guaranteed income for myself and if you're married, your spouse? Because rule number one that I have, it has to be all about you first. And then if you could do something for the next generation, you do it. If you don't take care of you first, you're going to put yourself in a lousy situation, number one. Number two, most likely you're going to have to rely on your kids if you don't plan right. So $500,000, let's say you take a piece of that and you put it somewhere that can create a guaranteed paycheck of another $24,000 a year. So now with Social Security, let's say with that you're up to $8,000 a month between Social Security and that check. That's pretty good if you have no debt. So we're going to get the fear of running out of money out of your system. Then you could take the rest of the pie you have, use that for fun, use that for travel, use that to enrich your life. Create those memories while you're here, memories with your kids, memories with your grandkids. And then take a little piece of that. Remember, there's this thing called required minimum distribution, Jess, once you hit 73. So let's say you take 4% of the remainder of the pile, and that works out to be 10, 12, 15 grand. You take that, you put it aside out of your estate, out of your name. But watch this. Instead of just putting the 15 grand in a bank account or somewhere else, you put it in a special life insurance policy that will create hundreds of thousands of dollars tax-free day one. Okay? I love the expression on your face, Jess, because I get that a lot when I tell people.
Wait a minute, what?
You can literally, you can replace your whole 401k for pennies on the dollar. That's what these people do. That creates cash flow for you. You can live. You don't have to hoard. You're going to pass the money tax efficiently, which is the way it should be passed. Because I'm going to tell you something. The worst asset to pass on to somebody other than your spouse is your kids and grandkids. It could put them in a terrible tax situation, number one. And number two, it could disqualify the grandkids from financial aid, which obviously you had no intention of doing that. But when you don't think things through and you don't plan things through, plan unfolds and it happens without your control. That's the last thing you want. The people who are the most successful out there plan and then plan again. And they make it so that they can have the cash flow they need for life. And they make it so they can have these life memories with your kids, with your grandkids, are way more valuable than giving them a bunch of money. I mean, when I spend time with the grandkids, it's gold. I mean, these kids running around, laughing, falling down, jumping in the pool. It's you can't replace that.
Yeah, money can't buy those kind of memories.
It can't buy it. All right? It can't. And don't fool yourself into thinking it can. I love his line, you don't want to be the richest person in the graveyard. That's hilarious. By the way, that's true. When I pass, hopefully way down the road, I want to have tax-efficient money available for my kids and grandkids that they don't have to worry about the government taxing and doing that. I want to have lived a life that I can look back on and say, wow. Not no regrets. We're all going to have some regrets, Jess, but as little regrets as possible. Checking things off the bucket list. I've had a bucket list forever. My first bucket list, Jess, you know what it was? Running the Boston Marathon.
And you did that years ago.
1992.
Phenomenal pictures, by the way. Lovely shorts.
Yeah, you see. Well, that was the style back then,
That was
okay?
the style, those short shorts. But you
Oh,
did,
my
yeah,
God.
you ran the Boston Marathon.
Yeah, so I did it, and I was fortunate because I worked for John Hancock at the time. I was able to get a bib. I couldn't qualify for that race if I had rockets on my feet. But because I worked for Hancock and I did work the marathons in the past, they got me a bib. So you talk about a life experience. I still have the bib. I had the knee replacement surgery, so I don't have the knees. I traded those in for new ones. But I'll tell you, that memory and that experience will live forever in my heart. So that is something, my first bucket list item. And then from there, it just kept writing down numbers. I want to go here. Even anything that sounded improbable. I want to play golf at St. Andrews. I mean, that's a crazy dream to have, 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. But I did it. I actually played at the old course at St. Andrews. Amazing experience. I wanted to play Pebble Beach someday. I got to do that too. So you got to write these things down. You got to live them, dream them. It's just so awesome to do that. So this is what I can help people with. I could take what you want to do and make it more realistic simply by organizing the money you've already saved. You might not know this, but you might have the money in the wrong place. You might be able to achieve a lot of these things you're thinking of, but with the money where it's at now, it might not be feasible. If you make some moves, it not only could be feasible, but you could have that and you can create this wealth for a next generation that's not going to set you back. That's the last thing you want. So let's do that, Jess. Let's put it out there and let's call it a dream list or something like that. Let's help people achieve their goals while they're living, while they're retired, and get what you want to get and create that fun bucket that you love so much. That's part of my overall plan.
Yeah, and just to kind of recap here, the number one fear of running out of money, and the way to kind of defeat that is by creating, as you talked about, income. That cash flow is very important in retirement. Looking at those guaranteed income options is a great starter point so that you can start checking off those items, those bucket list items, those dreams. And let's do a retirement dream checklist, and you'll be able to do that with Steve one-on-one. By the way, complimentary, no cost, no obligation. That phone number, 508-552-3230. 508-552-3230. More details, of course, at fairwayfinancial.net. Social Security has a big problem, Steve, and it starts with the current birth rate in the U.S. Here is TikTok's news girl, Lisa Remillard. Here she explains.
At the end of July, the Centers for Disease Control said, as of 2024, the fertility rate in this country dropped to an all-time low. Less than 1.6 kids per woman ages 15 to 44. The rate needed for a population to replace itself from one generation to the next is 2.1 kids per woman. The fact is, when you're not hitting that replacement rate and there are fewer babies, in the end, you end up with a country with a larger proportion of older people and a smaller proportion of younger, healthier people who are able to work.
Yeah. So, I mean, here's the deal. I think we've all kind of talked about that before, about how people really aren't having kids like they used to. It's expensive to live. It's expensive to have kids. So, where this next generation is coming, and the generation after that could put Social Security in a bad rap, in a bad way. And if this trend continues, again, fewer workers could be paying into the system, putting more pressure on Social Security. So if somebody's, 5-10 years away from retirement, Steve, how much faith should we really put into that monthly check from Social Security?
Wow. I mean, that's kind of deep stuff there, but I would like to think that Social Security is going to be there for a very long time. What I would like to see happen is the system needs to be revised. The problem is the system was pretty much outdated in the 50s and 60s. And what I mean by that is, they took X number of your dollars, they put it in a terrible savings account where you earn less than 1% a year. That can't happen. You need a better way of doing things. Like, for example, the Trump IRA, $5,000 a year for a newborn up to age 18. Mm-hmm. If you run those numbers at like 6%, it's going to have over $1 million by the time that kid turns 65. At even 6%, $1 million, which will produce way more than a traditional Social Security check will. But having said that, I understand why Social Security had its place. You got to understand the world was a mess at that time, and FDR did the right thing by creating a Social Security. Just the words alone, security. People needed to hear that word. They were losing their homes. They were losing their money. It was very desperate times back then. And it was the right plan at the right time. But it is too outdated. Think of this. If you had a 401, we all have 401k plans. Can you imagine putting your money in a 401k and averaging 1% a year? How many people would do that?
No, nobody.
Of course not. But, of course, we're forced to do Social Security. And, unfortunately, the people who make the decisions on this, they could care less about it. Oh, publicly they'll say they care. But they're not in the system. They have a pension. They're not going to lose any sleep over it. That's the problem. It's part of what Warren Buffett said, accountability. You need to say to people, yes, it would be good to force people. Well, think about it, like pensions, like a police officers, for example. They take a percentage of their pay. 6 or 8%. I don't know what the number is today. And they force it out. They put it into a pension. You don't have a choice. That's not a terrible thing, but at least the money that it's going into is making money. If you could say the same thing to people, we're going to have Social Security, but instead of investing it awful, we're going to invest it more wise. Okay, I don't know if is that a word? More wise, Jess?
I'm going to go with wiser, but sure.
Wiser. Okay. We're going to invest
for 500, Steve.
All right. Thank you, Jack. So, yeah, we're going to invest it wiser. But my point is really straightforward and simple. Even if you had invested it in a CD at 3.5%, it would have returned almost 3 times more than what the system is now. And I know the way the system is set up, it sounds crazy, but it's almost like a Ponzi scheme because you're using other people's money today to pay somebody else. So when you retire, the worker's money is funding your retirement. And then in the future, they're hoping that the other piles of money will fund that and so on and so forth. That is destined for future failure. There's no doubt about it. But that's going to happen. I mean, that's 50 years. I mean, that's, way down the road. The system needs to be revamped. People need to be held accountable. And I'm hoping someday we have a real leader who can have control or at least the opportunity to go to Congress and say, will you please stop messing around and fix it? Stop complaining about it and fix it. Now, this current administration, the Trump administration, did take steps to give some tax credits to people. Okay, now, we shouldn't be paying taxes on Social Security to begin with because we already paid taxes on the money, Jess. But at least this administration come out and said, we're going to give you $6,000 tax credit if you're single and $12,000 tax credit if you're married. That's beautiful. At least it's helping with the tax situation. It's not going to help with the pile running out. We need to fix it, clearly. It's an antiquated system that was perfect at the time. Someday it will get done. I am not fearful of Social Security running out of money during my lifetime. So here's one way to alleviate that concern. Build your own income plan, and you can do that. There are products available that will do that. Guaranteed income annuities build income plans, similar to what the old pensions did. As a matter of fact, the old pensions had annuity options in them, okay? So you can already do this yourself. You can take a piece of your 401k or your IRA or even bank money, put it in a plan that will pay you a check for your lifetime, like I said, if you're married and or your spouse. So you can help the problem, okay, by being proactive and taking care of it so you don't have to worry about running out of money. But obviously the system is not totally broken. It's in dire need of repair. Let's put it that way. It's like a car with 200,000 miles on it. All right? You got to it's time to take a look, and repair it, modernize it, bring it into this century. But you can do a lot of things on your own to prevent yourself from having to worry about this particular issue. That's what I'm here for, is to help you do that.
Get more details on the website, fairwayfinancial.net. That's fairwayfinancial.net.
Steve Anzuoni is a licensed insurance provider by the Division of Insurance and is not registered as an investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve Anzuoni, Massachusetts Insurance License 3851053. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Steve Anzuoni is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Steve Anzuoni is licensed in your state, please call 508-398-3337.